Thank you, Kajal. We have a lot of students. We're very grateful to have Kajal. Kajal is Iranian, and her parents actually live in both Iran and Afghanistan. So we're really fortunate to have a lot of students with international experience, that they bring different perspectives to the project. And it's really important because they also help further the diverse viewpoints that are sorely lacking from U.S. corporate media and the corporate press. Several other student interns are back at our table again. If people want to come by and stop, get free information, look through books, etc., again, please feel free to do that. I think what Kajal hit upon also is, since we live in a media-saturated culture and news, the 24/7 news cycle makes news a ubiquitous phenomenon, we really have to ask why there doesn't seem to be enough time to cover a lot of the important stories that are in the censored volumes every year. And if you take a good look at what news media happen to cover, then maybe we can answer that question. You know, instead of turning on the news, the actual news, and hearing about Tiger Woods and his harem, or who's he going to hook up with at the 19th hole, or Balloon Boy's dad maybe going to prison, instead of hearing about Michael Phelps hitting a bong, right? Remember Michael Phelps, 14-time gold medal winner for the U.S., right? He was in the news big last fall because a 20-some-odd-year-old, basically college-age kid was caught smoking a bong at a college party in Carolina. So we got to hear endless stories about Michael Phelps hitting a bong, right? I'm not sure what the message is there, necessarily. I mean, if a 14-time gold medal winner can do that, I guess it's not deterring him from success. But these, again, are the kind of messages that just saturate our media. And instead of covering things like this that are totally trivial, the endless stories of celebrity deaths and so on and so forth, they could actually have covered the bombardment of Palestine by the Israeli military. You know, they could actually cover things that are really going on because they're not saturating you with junk. And Carl Jensen and Peter Phillips and I at Project Censored have been covering this junk food news chapter every year since 1984. So we're not just looking at the important stories that the media don't cover or won't cover, we're actually looking at what they do cover. And a whole lot of it is stuff that really is irrelevant to us. In fact, in this year's book, we did an analysis of what really is going on with corporate media now is they are operating in a hyper-real format. Hyper-reality is something that Baudrillard spoke of back in the early Gulf War in the 90s. And hyperreality is the condition whereby people are unaware or unsure about what facts and fiction really are. And it's kind of akin to like Disneyland. Like, you know you're there, and you know what's there isn't real, but you know you're really there anyway. Well, this is sort of what has been going on in American society. And the so-called news media are really good at just pounding these kinds of hyper-real themes, where there's not a lot of factual reporting, there's just a lot of emotional display. Actually, Peter and I have a name for this whole phenomenon that the hyper-real culture has produced, and it's called a truth emergency. We're living in a society that has wide access to information. We have more information likely than any other generation before us in terms of access, though we sorely lack a system of equal distribution. In other words, we're awash in a sea of information and have a paucity of understanding about what these things really mean. Even though the facts clearly support that there is rampant election fraud, even though facts clearly support that we are living in a culture that is supporting 2 illegal wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, even though we have irrefutable evidence and near consensus in the scientific community about what's happening to the global climate and glacier melting, we still seem to hear more and more voices pretending that these things aren't real or that they're somehow debatable. This is what happens to a culture that succumbs to hyperreality, where entertainment and information are blurred into a new category called infotainment, and people can't tell the difference between fact and fiction anymore. This crisis can easily be countered. This state, this excited delirium of knowinglessness can be countered by being active and being the media. One of the books we have on our table by Dave Matheson is called Be the Media. In other words, we have to realize that corporate media is not in the business of information. It is in the business of entertainment. It is in the business of making profits. If it can profit from a story, that's fine. If facts are not profitable, then they may not be reported. And again, we've got book after book after book from the last several years cataloging factual news stories that the corporate media don't want people to hear or see. This creates self-empowerment. This builds community, people that know what's really going on. This is what the whole concept of being the media is about. And again, we invite you back to our table so that you can take a look. Project Censored offers, again, a very vivid look at the problems and the architecture of censorship in our culture. Be the Media offers many solutions for people, meaning it's an invitation for more people to get more involved in how they get information and actually become information disseminators themselves. And we think that this is a really crucial thing as an antidote to the so-called